Good evening. Red Bank Zoning Board of Adjustment will come to order this 16th day of April 2026. The time is 6:30. Roll call, please.
Ann Torrey,
Here.
Raymond Mass,
Here.
Greg Fitzgerald, John Gilday,
Here.
Anna Cruz, Vincent Light,
Here.
Paul Cagno, Eugene Horowitz,
Here.
Chris Havens,
Here.
Dorothy Cerullo. Here.
In accordance with New Jersey law, this meeting notice has been published in the Asbury Park Press and the Two River Times and is available on the municipal website and the New Jersey Secretary of State's website. It is also posted on the municipal bulletin board. This meeting complies with the Open Public Meetings Act and will be tape recorded. If the applicant chooses to use the court reporter to transcribe the recordings, the board requires a copy of the transcript. A break will occur at 8 p.m. in the conference room on the first floor. Public is welcome to attend, but discussions with board members will not be allowed. No new cases will be heard after 9 p.m., and the cutoff time is 9:30 p.m. Any applicants not heard will be rescheduled for the next meeting. Okay, we have a couple administrative matters. We have the regular meeting minutes for March 19th, 2026. Somebody like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we have a resolution of approval on 40 Riverside Avenue.
At the request of the applicant's attorney, we're going to put that that resolution on for the next meeting, and the applicant consented to that.
I'll make a motion to approve moving that to the next meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay, new business. We have 273 Shrewsbury Avenue. Mr. Kennedy.
Okay, a couple of preliminary procedural things. So before we begin, in no particular order, first up, is there anyone here who had any questions or comments or concerns regarding the sufficiency of the notice they received? All right, don't see any. The board secretary and I reviewed the notice and found everything to be in order. So it would be my opinion that we have jurisdiction to proceed tonight. And a couple of things. Well, first up, we're going to swear in Jackie Derman, our board engineer, and Shauna Ebanks, our professional planner and director of community development. Jackie and Shauna, do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide, to the extent you provide any, will be the truth, excuse me, to the best of your knowledge, to help you God? All right, let the record reflect that both witnesses have been sworn, and we will mark into the record what we as a board have before us. So one is the amended final major site plan prepared by Jacqueline Floor of Ingenuity Infrastructure, dated December 21st, 2023, last revised March 27th, 2026, consisting of 13 sheets, and that's A1. And Charlene, just so you know, I'm going down through this letter, so if that helps you. A2 is the architectural plans prepared by CPA Architecture, dated April 5th, 2023, last revised April 1st, 2026, consisting of 8 sheets. A3 is the parking assessment prepared by John McCormack, and that's dated January 14th, 2026. A4 is the intent to proceed, dated April 6th, 2023. A5 is the response to the first engineering review letter prepared by Ingenuity Infrastructure, dated April 1st, 2026. I'm just going to mark as 8.6 as a copy of the underlying resolution of conditional approval from 2023. And A7 will be the T&M Associates Review Memorandum, dated April 13th, 2026. And so before we turn it over to Mr. McKenna, just a couple of quick things. Number one, Mr. McKenna, I would take the position that even though there was an underlying approval, This is a quote-unquote new application, so new members of the board or people who are absent in 2023 are still entitled to vote on this and participate in this application. I'm assuming you would agree.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then the other thing is, particularly for newer members and our new board secretary, so this is a use variance application, other aspects of it too. But with the use variance, only 7 people will be called to vote, and an approval requires 5 of the 7 yes votes. But even if someone on the board is not going to be one of the eligible voting members, they can still ask questions, make comments, and say what they like, say what they don't like, and all of those things. So against that backdrop, we'll turn it over to Mr. McKenna. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Thank you very much. I'd like to give some history because we have new members here, and maybe we can provide you with some background as far as what transpired before and why we're here again. Okay. What happened was when we originally applied back in 2023, excuse me, what we submitted was essentially almost the exact same application. The difference, the difference is I'll go over with you, but essentially what happened was we had applied for 32 units of independent housing, all 1-bedroom units. And it was for the neurodiverse, we call it neurodiverse supportive housing. It is for adults, only 1 person, 1 resident per apartment. They're not allowed to have any other people living in the apartment. And there were a myriad of reasons for that. But one of the great parts about this was going to be the second facility of its type in the United States. For those of you that were not here and were not aware of this, as a result of this approval, Red Bank received national, statewide, and county, and of course, local laudits for this application because it was, once again, the second of its type in the United States. And it is providing a service that is so badly needed that we are hoping that this will be a kickstart to similar facilities within the state of New Jersey. And in fact, one of the principals is involved in discussions with other potential parties. And we were hoping to be up and running here. And we have come to this point where we are here tonight is because of essentially some changes that were imposed upon us as a result of the County of Monmouth. What happened was we had the 32 units, and we had 4 undersized units at the time that were included within the plans. The county came in and demanded, in order to allow this building to be built, a much more significant right-of-way than what they had told us they were originally going to want from us. As a result of that, it required a dedication of land for this right-of-way that resulted in a slight reduction in the building. But as a result of having to re-engineer the building, so to speak, we now have 12 undersized units as opposed to 4. The architectural plans, if you had the opportunity to take a look at them, the floor plans are almost the same. It's very difficult to distinguish the apartments and their differences. And they're all, as I indicated, 1-bedroom. They all have the same type of facilities, the same kitchen facilities, the same laundry facilities, all those types of things. All the elements of living there are the same. It's just that some of the units had to be reduced in size as a result of the county's action. in this particular instance. So what happened was, the architect who's about to testify, he, after we were in what is called resolution compliance, where the board voted in October of 2023 on a very extensive resolution of approval, very detailed. I think it was over 30 pages. And the board found unanimously that it was beneficial use, inherently beneficial use. But there was one no vote at that time, but 6 out of 7 members voted yes. So, and we are going to assert again this evening, of course, that, and Mr. Kennedy, I'm sure, will advise the board on what it means to be an inherently beneficial use. But in the zoning world, that gives you significant leeway or significant enhancement of the likelihood of approving a project such as this, because it's fulfilling a needed service to the community. So that issue was number one as to the need to redesign the building. The second issue was Jersey Central Power and Light. And I've been back before this board on problems that arise when Jersey Central comes in, because when they come in, they don't ask you where you would like to put your facility, meaning your electrical facility. They tell you where it's going to go, period. And if you don't like it, they won't install it. And for those of you that were here on Azalea Gardens, we had the exact same situation. And there was nothing you can do. They will tell you, we are not going to install this. This is the only place we will allow it to be. And if you don't like it, then we're leaving. So we had that situation. However, fortunately, the facility that they are going to install, assuming that we are able to move forward, has really not done much to affect the variances that were granted in the past. For example, there was one variance that had been granted, giving us some relief from a buffer requirement. And the variance allowed the facility to be 5.1 feet from the property line. As a result of JCP&L coming in and putting the facility in, that side yard variance goes from 5.1 feet to 3.5. So it's a difference of about 1.5 feet. So it's really not much of a difference at all, but it did change the variance. So now we have to ask you to grant us that variance or waiver, and however you want to couch it. But we have to ask for that relief also. But the last element is that there was an office in the original plans where we had intended to have a professional in the building, in that office, that would be available to provide services to the residents. It became very evident to us that you could not find someone that would accept a position such as that unless they were able to see other people, because they can't afford to just provide that service to that limited number of people, because they had no way of gauging who they would see, how often they would see them, and it became impossible for us to get anyone. So as a result of that, we are asking that office space be allowed to have someone from the public occupy the space, but in connection therewith, that would have a separate entrance. It would be a separate physical separate facility, and they would even have their own parking space in the garage and their own access way. So they would not interfere with the operations in any way of the facility, the apartments. So essentially, we're here to seek your help and relief in addressing these 3 issues. we have had, as I indicated, an enormous amount of interest. We have now had a commitment for financing for the facility. And we've been in touch, constant touch with the facility, the one other one in the country, with Arizona. And we have now, I've had in my office over 120 inquiries as to people who are interested in dealing with their adult children, or their children, the parents of the adult individuals who need a facility such as this. So it has tremendous interest. There is an incredible need. And as I indicated, I believe that this is, without question, would qualify as an inherently beneficial use under New Jersey zoning laws. And we're asking you to consider that in your deliberations this evening. So what I'd like to do is start out with the architect and let him explain to you the reason for the change in the number of smaller rooms. Ken.
You know what? And
There we go. Good evening.
okay, Mr. McKenna, do you mind if we just swear in all your witnesses at once?
No, not at all.
Okay, why don't all the professional witnesses and lay witnesses stand up, and we'll just swear everybody in at once. All right, if you could just state your name and business address, please.
Cristiano Pereira, CPA Architecture, 641 Park Avenue,
I'm sorry,
West New
your
York.
first name is?
Cristiano is Christian with an O at the end, Pereira, Pereira.
Pereria.
Correct.
Okay,
Jacqueline Floor, professional address, the Galleria, 2 Bridge Avenue, Suite 323, Red Bank, New Jersey.
thank you.
John Klein, owner, 25 Bridge Avenue, Red Bank, New Jersey.
Good evening, John McCormick with Dynamic Traffic, 1904 Main Street, Lake Como.
Thank you.
Ed O'Neill, O'Neill Architectural and Planning, 65 Monmouth Street, Red Bank.
All right, if you could all raise your right hands, do you swear that the information and testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, to the best of your knowledge, to help you God? Let the record reflect all witnesses affirmed. And just Christian Piera, you are testifying in your capacity as architect, and your licenses and certifications are current and up to date and good standing?
Yes, they are.
All right, and Jacqueline Floor, you're testifying in your capacity as an engineer?
Yes, I am.
And your licenses and certifications are current and up to date and in good standing?
Yes, they are.
And John Klein, you're the owner of or you're a member of Thrive RB LLC?
Correct.
Okay. And John McCormick, you're testifying in your capacity as,
Traffic professional.
and your licenses and certifications are current and up to date and in good standing?
Yes, they are.
And Ed O'Neill, you're testifying tonight in your capacity as,
Planner?
and your licenses and certifications are current, up to date, and in good standing?
Yes.
Thank you.
Very efficient. It's good.
Cristiano, you were retained by Thrive LLC to prepare the architectural renderings that are before the board this evening.
That's correct. Yes.
And you had prepared the original
Yes, we did.
plans also, correct? Now, if you don't mind me taking a minute,
Yeah, we have a few new members, so if you could give us your,
Oh, sure. My qualification?
Yeah.
I'm
sure.
sorry.
No problem. Yes, I'm an architect. I have my degree from New Jersey Institute of Technology. I have had my license for over 15 years. I've testified before this board and hundreds of boards throughout the state and other states. I'm licensed also in 7 other states, and all my licenses occur in good standing.
accept
you.
it. Thank
Okay.
Okay,
Yes,
so you prepared the original set of plans?
correct. And the construction documents as well.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you. And you also recall that Sean, is this going through okay?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. You also recall that the original set of plans had 4 undersized apartments.
That's
right?
correct. Two per
Okay.
floor. Mhm.
And as a result of the County of Monmouth requiring from us
Mhm.
a much more significant portion of land than they had indicated previously.
Correct.
We had to adjust those plans, correct?
That's correct.
And would you tell the board, in plain English,
Mhm.
what you had to do in order to accommodate the required imposition on us that the county proposed?
Sure. In plain English, we had to squeeze, right? We had a footprint. We had a footprint that was, initially designed not to take that into consideration. If I could actually flip to one of these sheets, and I don't know if you have it
And
up
just
there,
for the
but-
record, what you're looking at is the evidence that's already been marked into the record, correct?
That's correct, the
Got
same
it.
one you read,
Yes.
yes. So if you can see from there, this hatched area that's on the side of the brand along James Parker Boulevard. So this hatched area is the easement that we're discussing, the right-of-way easement. And what that did is it encroached into, as you see, the easement has I almost say a triangular shape, and encroached and pushed our building, essentially the footprint that we had on each floor, and reduced it. And so we lost some square footage on the corner. It's not a lot. It was, if we do the math, is about 266 square feet. The issue with this is this building was designed already very efficient. And we have items such as wider corridor, wider stairs, because of the public we're serving. There's a concern with claustrophobia. There's a concern with, being able to navigate the stairs with some equipment. So, everything that we designed that was the core of the building, we couldn't touch. So what happened is we lost 266 square feet, and rather than losing that in 2 units and bringing those units down to 400 square feet, which then wouldn't, function as they need to as a 1-bedroom that we're trying to provide for each individual, we distribute that 266 square feet in 4 additional units. So we had 2 and when I say 4 per floor, right? So a total of 8. So that's what Mr. McKenna has referenced. So that's the change. So we took that 266 square feet and we had to spread it out and squeeze it out of the footprint and distribute that into 4 additional units. So rather than having, again, per floor, right? Rather than having 2 units per floor, there were slightly below the 600 square foot mark. Now we have an additional 4. So 6 total per floor for a total of 12. So we had 4 before, 8 additional ones. And the change is, again, it's, if we divide it out by the units, it's about 60 square feet, which is really like a closet right on each unit. So we just have to arrange things a little bit and, so that we can comply and still provide the 1-bedrooms. That was the goal for this project, right? So every unit is a 1-bedroom. Every resident here has an access to a bedroom, a kitchen, a proper unit. And that's what we did. So if I could show you on our A101 sheet, essentially we had this unit on the corner, not on the corner, but this unit along James Park, and then opposite to that, those 2 units were the original 2 units that were undersized. And with this section that we lost on the corner of the building, we had to distribute that around, and we lost some square footage on these units and a couple of units up here, again, to redistribute that. So, but the change is very minor. Again, as mentioned by Mr. McKenna, if you look at the original floor plan and you look at the plans that we have now, the units, the core, the stair didn't change, the elevator didn't change. We have a lounge and amenity on each floor for the residents together. That hasn't changed. So again, as you see, it's a single-loaded or a double-loaded corridor, right in the middle, and then the units distributed around. And that's the essence of the change. So that's on the upper level. And I believe the other item was the transformer vault that was being discussed before. Jacqueline is going to discuss that in detail on the site plan. But just as it affects the building, there were 2 items that affect the building, the office and the switch in the sprinkler room. So what happened is the transformer pad has been now located on the side of the property here, and that's going to be discussed. As a result of that, we had to rearrange our switch gear. So our switch gear used to be on the side of the property here because we anticipated feed coming in on that side. Once the transformer moved here, we had to relocate the switch gear, rearrange the sprinkler room. And that affected the depth of those two closets slightly. So they were 5 feet, now they're 7'11", so they grew a little bit. And that affected the office space. And as mentioned by Mr. McKenna, we do have an individual door coming in from the outside along James Parker into that suite that has its own private bathroom, and it has a separate access from, not within the building, but from the outside, as discussed by him, for the use of that space. And that's essentially it on the plans and the modifications we had to do.
Excuse me, was there,
I'm sorry.
there's access to the office from the interior or just the exterior?
Right now, we're not showing an access there because we have a grade difference. So the grade here changes drastically. I believe it's about 2 feet. It's 48 to 40, yeah, it's about 2 feet. So if we were to put a door here, we'd have to provide a ramp and stairs, and we were losing a lot of square footage on that. So we decided it would be best to, have that door from the outside only.
So the residents who want the services will have to go outdoors, make a turn in some fashion, and then
Yeah,
walk along and go in?
correct.
How has this affected the parking or anything within the parking, which I think the trash collection was down there? I mean, is that going to be eliminated now or?
Yeah, so we'll have the civil engineer and the traffic discuss that, but the parking within the space didn't change. The parking layout is still the same. We have the garage door at the entrance. Oh, I see, you zoomed in there. You have the same, parking garage, and we have essentially the same layout. But they will discuss the implications of the office on their testimony.
How far did the county push the building over away from Parker? Was it 1 foot?
No, it was, I don't have the measurement here, but it's a little over 2 feet. I don't know exactly if you have
2
that.
feet over?
It-
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a radius condition that they asked us from the corner, so we had to do an offset. And you can see what we did here is we had to step the building and create a sort of a tooth here. So the whole corner got pushed back. So it's not just a dimension this way, but it was a full radius, and it affected the whole corner.
What are the size of the regular units and the size of the undersized units?
So the units all range between, our smallest units is 509, which used to be the original undersized units. So there were 2 of those at that range. Most of the units are around 582, the undersized ones, 580. And the balance of the units are all above 600, with one of the units being above 700, 701. So it's a minor change, as I mentioned. Like if we were to look at it, it's about 20 square feet per unit as an average that got reduced. One of them got reduced a little more, but that's all it is.
And I'd like to ask you a question. Excuse me. The functionality of the units remains the same essentially, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
And so that all of the units will have the same amenities contained within them, correct?
That's correct.
As
Yes,
far as their kitchen facilities, their bathrooms, everything, the seating area, they're all going to be essentially the same. correct?
exactly. Yes.
Guess I'm confused. The
Yes.
original drawing what was where the office, the proposed office now,
Mhm.
what was there in the prior drawings?
It was also an office. It was just initially connected to the inside of the building as well.
Right.
But we always proposed an office there on that corner. The only difference we're saying now, I believe testimony was that office was going to provide services only to the building residents. And as discussed by Mr. McKenna, as a professional to service 32 residents, how many, are they all being seen every month? And is that sufficient to maintain an office there? So the idea is to, and I believe John is going to provide some testimony on that use.
Yeah, well, I guess I just don't understand it. It'll be explained to me why it is that when you presented it to us a few years ago, it was a service provided to the tenants that they could come downstairs and walk into this area. And now that's changed for some reason.
Well, it has changed because what we discovered after approval was that we could not get a professional that would perform that service and that service only. That would work for,
But it's the salary, it's a corporation, right? I mean, you're paying someone to come in and how
yeah,
does that work, right? I mean, so I guess I'm not following that.
Well, Mr. Klein's going to address that.
May I ask, when were you made aware of the easement?
That was throughout the construction documents phase, right? Well, as the plans were complete and filed with the county, and we can have a further discussion when civil discusses that. But do you have a date? I believe it was about a year. It was about a year ago, possibly. About a year ago, when we filed and we received feedback from them on their review, and they mentioned that, and then we had to redesign the whole building and provide that in, and that's when that took place. And JCP&L was a little more recent, 7 months maybe, when they visited the site and let us know about the transformer, and then we had to again redesign. You know, it's very common, as you probably know from people coming back here. It happens during construction documents.
If I remember correctly, according to
Yes.
a comment that Paul made earlier, the original design had a navigator that was a full-time resident
Mhm.
who resided on the first floor
Mhm.
to help the residents.
Mhm.
Now that that's turned into an office space, is there going to be a navigator on site full-time?
No, that wasn't the space that turned, that was always an office space. The Navigator Suite is still here, and
Oh,
that
okay.
residence still, that still remains. There's
Okay.
no change there.
Thank you.
Sure.
I had a
Yeah.
quick question on the easement.
Yes.
When they notified you that you'd have to provide that, did they give a reason for, is that a question of like turning radius, safety, pedestrian safety? What was the reason behind that?
I believe it is a right-of-way expansion, a side triangle. Yeah, it was a side triangle.
Got it. So
Right.
cars turning right onto Shrewsbury would have visibility.
Visibility.
Got it.
Correct.
So give us a little more leeway there so that there's not a blind corner that people will be
Correct.
turning onto. Got it.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay, any other questions from the board for this witness? Any questions from the public for this witness? Okay, Mr. McKenna, your next witness.
Okay, thank you. My next witness is Jackie Flor. Jackie?
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I also have a flash drive. You have it?
Right, what I'm saying is not, yeah. Hey, Shauna, Vince had a technical question for you.
Can the picture be flipped so that an actual, can it be actual?
Pardon me?
Okay, I said you want me to.
What do you want to do? I mean, you're more than welcome to sit next to me. You're more than welcome to sit right here.
Does this board prefer I stand over there or whatever you prefer? So I brought copies because I thought that would be hard for you to see. So if it's okay, if I can approach.
Sure.
I'll give you guys some copies. It might be a little bit easier to read. Yes.
Engineer. And Jackie, just per the chair's last comment, since we have new board members, why don't you just give the brief history of your credentials and qualifications? And just before I forget, before you do that, should I mark this, what you're handing out as A8? Or that's already been
Yeah.
submitted?
This is a new exhibit. we
Okay,
would
so
do
A8, and what is A8?
So A8 is just a colorized exhibit showing the location of the transformer, showing the parking garage that's under the building, and then showing the location of the landscaping on the site so we could discuss the buffer.
Okay, and prepared by your office?
Yes, it is.
And is there a date on that?
There should be. I gotta back up now. April 8th, 2026.
April 8th, 2026. So that's A8. All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, did you want me to go through my credentials first? Okay. So, I'm Jacqueline Floor. I am a licensed professional engineer. I received my license in 2004. I graduated from Florida Tech with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering in 1999. Since then, I've been licensed not only in the state of New Jersey, but licensed in Delaware, New York, Maryland, and Pennsylvania as well. I've testified before numerous boards, including this board on this first application when we were before you before, and multiple boards. I've actually sat on both sides, both where Jackie Derman is sitting as well as presenting on this side.
Great, thank you.
All right. All right, so thank you so much. I testified last time, so I know I've seen many of you. I wanted to go through, we put together a colorized exhibit. I can walk up to this to the exhibit as well and show you, but basically, from an engineering standpoint, really what I'm here to talk about is the transformer. The architect walked you through what happened on the interior of the building. What I can say is that change happened because I think someone asked about when we went to the county. So we went to the county, like we had submitted to the county before we even came to you. Their final approval was sometime right after, it was one of the conditions of approval. So we had that probably a year to a year and a half ago. And the reason that they wanted the curb return, it's actually in their regulations for sight distance. There's a signal there. So I think our thought initially was sometimes when you have a traffic signal, they don't always need the same sight distance because it's stop controlled. But the county wanted that sight triangle. They're entitled to ask for it. They've asked for it on other sites. And so they did enforce that they wanted the curb return radius. So that answers that question. And it was a 15-foot curb return radius. They could have asked for as much as a 25-foot curb return radius, which would have had a real effect on the building. But we were able to show them that they had a traffic signal there and that traffic signal wasn't going anywhere and that the existing curb return on the existing curb was 15 feet. So we were able to show them that we were really just taking that 15 feet behind. And then in the existing condition, the building was already pretty much there. And so we were able to get them to a 15-foot curb return radius that resulted in the curvature that you see now, that area that's cut out of the building. Everything on the interior, I can't speak to that. That's the architect. But what I can speak to is that when we came to you before, we did have a variance for buffer. That buffer variance was about 5.1. We're able to still have that same buffer. If you look at the exhibit, which you have there and you have there, you can see that our buffer doesn't change up until we get to the location of the transformer. So right where that transformer is, the owner had multiple meetings with JCP&L. JCP&L has rules and regulations whenever you have to put a transformer. The reason this wasn't foreseen whenever we came to you the first time is that I think that the architect and the owner were hoping that the existing utility poles could support either a transformer on the pole or being able to bring that into this site. Unfortunately, after many meetings, I even asked questions of, can we drop another utility pole and put another transformer up on another utility pole? Is there any way to avoid this? Unfortunately, JCP&L said that this was the only option, was to put a transformer on the site. So as a result of putting it there, there's rules on how close a transformer can be to a building. So you can see that 10 feet. 10 feet's about the closest, not about, it is the closest that you're allowed to go to the building. So you can see that located on the site. So then the side property line became the question. They had to look at where the existing building was, even if that building was closer than would be typical in any future building. They were very specific that they wanted to look at the angles and make sure that we were no closer than that adjacent building being able to be 10 feet from that location. So basically situating that transformer was a process with JCP&L. But we got to a location that JCP&L was comfortable with. We tried every way we could think of to get that to not be a ground-mounted transformer. We were not unsuccessful with that. But as a result, we were able to locate it on the site in a location where JCP&L can access it. As a result, you can see that the buffer line had to not go past the transformer. There's just not enough room. There's like 3.4 feet between the transformer and the fence right there. So that's the reason that the buffer gets reduced. Additionally, you can't have anything in front of the transformer because JCP&L wants to be able to access the transformer. So there was a street tree in front of the transformer, and we had to remove that street tree right at that location. So those are the changes that resulted from the transformer. In addition to that, there's a slight increase in lot coverage because of just the size of that tiny transformer, but it does increase it slightly. So if you go to your zoning table, which is on what I passed out, which is Exhibit A8, and you go down the list, the number of dwelling apartments that was spoken to by the architect, the front yard setback, that doesn't change. So if you look at our abbreviations, it says it was obtained under another approval. Same thing with the first one. The ones that have 2 asterisks are would have changed. So when you go to the coverage, I'm not sure about the building coverage, but I can say the landscape buffer, that has changed from 5.1 to 3.4. The parking spaces, which you're going to hear from John McCormick on the parking, but because now an office is proposed on that first floor as a separate, distinct use, that does have a parking requirement associated with it. So that does increase the parking variance. We always were requesting the loading zone, and then the architect already spoke to the size of the apartment uses. So really from an engineering standpoint, my testimony is to address the lot coverage as well as the buffer variance. I could talk a little bit about the parking, but really the parking is going to be testified to by John McCormick. But what I have heard from the owner is that the intention is for the parking garage. But I think I'll leave that testimony, I believe all of it, for John McCormick to testify to. Just making sure, because I could testify to some of it.
You commented about the loading zone. Where the loading zone, it's depicted on the
No, so we had gotten a variance for loading zone last time, but there is a space in the front of the building that that will be for, and I think we testified to that last time, that will be for drop off and pickup.
Yeah.
For Ubers and
I
things
remember
like
we
that.
talked about that.
Yeah.
You had to go to the county.
Yeah, we had to go to the county for that, and the county requested some additional striping, and I believe the county accepted, if I recall correctly. Yes.
Yeah, we got it.
Yeah, the county
We did
did accept that.
So, and then what is the length of that, of the loading zone? Is that for your testimony or someone else's?
It's 25 feet.
Okay.
So then it's up to Jackie Derman. I can go point by point through this. I know most of it, I think, because we had gone point by point back and forth with T&M through the letter, but I'm happy to test. I mean, there was also in the prior approval, if you remember, we were running drainage from this site to connect down. And as a result, we were going to have to pave certain limits. In fast forward a year and a half, and T&M's actually doing a project that's going to be paving that same road. So since we were ahead of that, we did some concessions on where we were paving, and that was at the request of T&M. So that drainage has already been installed, and we agree to pave to the limits that T&M has requested that we pave to. Other than that, let me see if there's anything else in the letter that we haven't spoken to already, other than the traffic testimony. Signage, we're gonna, so in speaking to the owner, they've decided to defer signage to its own. They're gonna submit a separate application for zoning for signage, because their intent is to try to comply. So they didn't want to try to cover that tonight, because they wanted you to be able to see what it would look like, and that's not entirely finalized yet.
Yeah, we'll be coming back to the board. for signage
Is
approval.
that gonna be two separate signs, one for the name of the building and then another one for, the business itself? Because you'll have to be to identify the, occupant of the office space.
I don't have an answer for that one.
I can, essentially yeah, I think you understand, correct? That we'll have to have a sign for the office, but then a sign for the building, yeah.
And then, I know in facilities, I know you guys are still trying to figure out your signage, and that's a later question, but will there be any I know for these type of facilities, you guys like to do like a dedication of, or, is there a potential that we may have that type of a situation? Or
Dedication of the building?
like in dedication of,
Like in
some
memory of
person,
Karen
or,
Smith or Mary Jo.
yeah, a funder or a sponsor or major, partner. I know like how it is on at Parker Health. If you realize Parker Health has their major donor there, or do you foresee that potentially happening?
I don't personally foresee that. I think we would reference.
If you could just talk into the mic, John, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't foresee us doing anything on the outside. Certainly on the inside in the lobby, we have a lot of people to thank.
Okay, yeah.
Can we just confirm how garbage is going to be handled?
Sure. So garbage is within the garage. And so it's my understanding that the owners, and whenever John testifies, he can also affirm that, will have a fob access to the garage. So they can then use the garage to store their garbage.
And as a condition of that approval, can we just have you guys communicate that with DPU?
Oh, sure.
Just to reach out to them,
Absolutely.
to let them know what the arrangement is.
To let them know that it's privately handled.
Yes.
Got
Yeah.
it.
In going through the T&M review letter, I'm not sure if I heard, there was one item in here, 4.2, about the underground electric service being shown on the utility plan within the Dr. James Parker Boulevard near Shrewsbury Ave, and if that's still required.
Give me 1 second. Transfer by feeder pole. Okay. So if the question is whether or not we're going to need to put underground on Dr. James Parker, we will not, because there's going to be, it's my understanding that they're going to require an additional utility pole, like a feeder pole on our side of the right of way as well. So they'll take that overhead and then down the feeder pole.
Any other questions?
Any other questions from the board? Nope. On to the next one. Any questions from the public for this witness? Obviously not. So on to your next one.
Mr. McCormick.
Good evening, everyone.
John, would you likewise, as suggested by the chair, go over your credentials so that the new board members can have the benefit of all that?
Absolutely. Again, John McCormick. I'm a principal with the firm Dynamic Traffic down in Lake Como. I have a bachelor's of civil engineering from Villanova University. I have a New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania PE license. I've had that for over 30 years. I've been practicing traffic engineering for those 30 years. Similar to Jackie, I've been on both sides of the board. I've sat as a board reviewer. I've been in front of numerous boards, including yourselves and the planning board in town.
Great. Thank you, Mr. McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just before we start, Kevin, I had a quick question.
Yeah.
Do we have the file, specifically the letter from last year with respect to the park, with respect to the traffic?
The traffic report?
Yeah.
I don't have it.
You have it? Or did you bring it from last year?
I have a copy in my file, sure.
From last year? Okay.
Shauna, do you want to put Jackie's exhibit back? Maybe that's the best one in case we need to talk to it.
Yep, oh, yeah, sure.
Okay, so we'll just jump right into it. With regard to the parking, I'll talk about the frontage improvement, et cetera. So as you're hearing, we need a parking variance. We needed a parking variance when we got the first approval. Since we're adding an off-site or office space, it increases the parking requirement, thus increasing the variance. So we are required by ordinance to provide 71 parking spaces. We have an electric vehicle credit because we're providing 2 EV units, 2 EV spaces. That gives us a 4-space credit. So the requirement essentially is 67 parking spaces. We're providing the same 13 parking spaces that we had in the original approval. They're a mix of standard spaces, ADA spaces, EV, compact, et cetera. They are in the garage. They are gated, secure, and assigned. Basically, we'll talk about the operational requirement as we see it. As we talked 2 years ago, the residents of this building don't drive. They typically do not drive. Last time we were here, we had a number of maybe 10% of the residents would own a car. So if we apply that logic, 10% of the 33 units, we would need 3 spaces for residents. If you look at the staffing that they anticipate, Parents with a Plan and Thrive and the owner has indicated that the staffing is approximately 1 staff for every 8 residents. So with the 33 residents, you'd have about 4 staff parking spaces. So that's 7 spaces necessary for the residential unit. The office then is about 1,000 square feet, 900 and something square feet, which requires 5 spaces per 1,000 per the borough ordinance. So that would be 5 additional spaces. So if you add that up, the 3 for the residents, the 4 for the staff, and potentially the 5 for the office, you would have a 12-space requirement. We have 13 spaces. I will talk about what we think the anticipated is. It's very likely that none of the residents own a car. So we would have staff parking and we would have office parking. As far as I understand from John, the intent is for the office space to have 2 or 3 employees. Those 3 employees would have access to the parking garage. So in essence, we're back down to about 7 or so parking space demand for this development. That acknowledges that because the building is secure and we are controlling the garage space, the guests for not only the residential portion, but the guests for the office space have to park on the street. So I'll just touch upon a little bit about the
I'm sorry,
on-street
say that
parking.
last part again. So the guests, say it again for,
Any guests for the building, whether it be guests of the residents or guests of the, customers for the office space, if you will, would utilize on-street. They would not have a key fob and would not have access to the garage.
thank you.
So just to describe the on-street parking, I'm sure everyone is very familiar, but there's on-street parking on all sides, both sides of about 5 streets in the area, right? Dr. James Parker Boulevard, Shrewsbury Avenue, Bridge Avenue, Bank Street, River Street. It's free. There's a 2-hour restriction, and that's a Monday through Saturday restriction. Sunday, I don't believe there is a time restriction. So there's an abundance of, if you will, free public parking on the street.
Excuse me for 1 second. Sure. Immediately abutting the building on Dr. James Parker Boulevard and across the street is all yellow curbs. So
I'm
what do you
talking
mean there's
about a
parking there?
2-block radius, around the building.
Well, not around the building. Talk a couple blocks away, there's places for people to park in different neighborhoods. Right, but not next to the building.
Well, not next to it on Dr. James Parker, but in front of it, there's parking. And I could talk about that frontage improvement a little bit in a minute.
Okay.
So, as I mentioned, I've done observations of this area for the lunch break application, which was probably almost 5 years ago now. I did observations for the original application before you. And the observations indicate that during the weekday, there's 25%, maybe even 50% of the parking on the street is open and available. I mean, just today, I was shocked. I was even shocked. Shrewsbury Avenue, there was at least 50% of the spaces within 2 blocks to the south and 2 blocks to the north were open and available as I drove into town. So just wanted to kind of put out there my observations and confirming that. there's
Excuse me
availability on
one
the street.
second. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm reading your letter,
Mhm.
and we talked about this during the original application a couple of years ago.
Mhm.
At the time, I was concerned because you didn't do a traffic study a couple of years ago. But I'm looking at your letter here tonight, and it says this office previously conducted a parking study for this site in the spring of '23. I don't think that's true. You may have driven by it. You may have observed something this afternoon as you were coming in, but correct me if I'm wrong. Did you do a study? Did you bring it with you?
A study in 2023. We did not do parking recordings in 2023. No.
Okay, so I'm reading your letter, and it says this office previously conducted a parking study for this site in the spring of '23. Is that true or not true?
Well, a study could mean a lot of things.
What does it mean in accordance with this letter that you submitted tonight for this board to take a look at?
It means I've done numerous observations. I drive down Shrewsbury Avenue coming in and out of town almost every day as I live in a neighboring town.
Right.
I understand the on-street parking situation in the vicinity of this building.
Okay, so there was no study.
There was no formal counts done in 2023.
Okay, I'm reading your words from your report.
Well, when I say a traffic study, it could be observations, it could be a lot of different things. It doesn't necessarily need to be recordings, in my opinion.
Mhm. Did you notice how many cars queue up at the light at Dr. James Parker Boulevard that are coming down off of Newman Springs Road? You ever notice that?
Yes.
It's many, right? I mean, I have lived in this town for close to 20 years, and making a left off of Newman Springs, heading towards the site, the queue of cars from that light at James Parker Boulevard has backed up all the way to Newman Springs Road, and this is prior to this building even being built. So
No
you're
doubt.
saying that traffic at that intersection is what you consider light traffic?
We just switched from parking to traffic.
Oh, traffic. Do you consider traffic at that intersection to be light traffic?
No, that intersection is busy. It's one of the busiest intersections in town, probably. That traffic backs all the way down to Newman Springs Road.
Right, and don't you think a parking study would have helped us? And a traffic study would have helped us determine what kind of traffic we're looking at when we have a parking deficiency of over 50 spaces?
Well, what I'll say is, now that we're talking about traffic and the intersection is under Monmouth County's jurisdiction. They do not require a traffic study for development of this size. If you remember my original report, the traffic generation of this building is less than 5 trips in an hour. So that kind of traffic generation is negligible when you consider the activity in this area. It doesn't satisfy even close the criteria, the threshold of Monmouth County that they would require for a traffic study. And I think this board and the borough decided it didn't require a traffic study at that point.
No, I don't think that's true. I don't think we said we don't require one. I think it would have been helpful. I think it would have been persuasive had you had one, because in my opinion, and I did vote no the last time over this reason, and I love the idea of this project, so don't get me wrong. I think it's a great idea. I think it's too much in this corner. But I don't ever recall us zoning board saying that we don't want to see a traffic study, because to me, this intersection is awful. And I think now with the proposal of a commercial space with the guests of the tenants at the property having nowhere to park, now we're going to have a professional office there with their visitors are supposed to park there. So I think it's too much personally. So I do feel that a study would have been somewhat helpful for your position. So I don't know why it wasn't done, but it certainly wasn't the board saying, we don't want you to do it. I remember that much, but go ahead.
Very good. So let's describe the significant improvement that this application has implemented along Shrewsbury Avenue, along the frontage. If you remember, there were only, I think, about 4 to 5 spaces in front. I think it was about 4. Because of the no parking restrictions, et cetera, we worked with the county. We brought some of the restrictions down to the state statutes, and we were able to create 2 parking spaces along the frontage. We were able to create the 25-foot loading zone, if you will. That is the first space north of Dr. James Parker. Then you have 2, I'll call them standard 2-hour parking spaces. Then the space near the driveway is a 15-minute space. We're hoping it's utilized for the Ubers and the DoorDashes and that kind of activity that we know is associated with an apartment building. And then further north of the driveway, again, is another 2 standard spaces. And again, those are Those are free spaces. Those are 2-hour time limit. They would be striped. They would be available for public use, for our use, for the office use, for the Coffee Corral customers' use, for anyone's use. And that restriping plan was approved by the county.
Just show me where the loading zone is on the. on
It's the one, it's the red space right where that car is driving. That's it. Thank you, Shauna. That's a 25 feet in length, and then that red triangle is a 25-foot no parking type designation to clear the crosswalk.
Right, so the space though is designated loading zone. Is there striping to indicate that so the public doesn't park there or no?
There's a sign. We didn't put striping. We could if the county would allow us, but then the county would have to maintain the striping, and they probably just want the sign.
Okay, but the public is not allowed to park there?
Well, you can park there if you're loading. If you're, loading into our building, if you're loading across the street, it's a general oversized space at the end.
Okay. But not for like a permanent parking, not overnight, nothing like that?
No, no, no.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
That's really my testimony, is that the parking is exactly the same as it was inside the building. It's managed and it's secured. And the applicant is comfortable with not only the supply inside, but comfortable with the availability of supply on the street.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. McCormick?
Yeah, are we going to hear any testimony about what we are expecting, the professional? How many visitors per day are we expecting from him or her? Do we have any idea? I know we said there's 3 employees. We're going to have a professional in there with an 1,000 square foot office. So I'm curious, what are we expecting in terms of trips and visits and things like that?
And we have testimony coming up on that.
Could you also amend maybe the plan to show where the 2 EV spaces are located?
Yeah, well, you see the one, Jackie, is the other one, is it a dual charger for the ADA space, and then the one that's marked EV? Yeah, normally when you install the EV chargers, it's the one unit and it splits. And that way we have one standard space that's EV, and then exactly, Shauna, and one ADA space that's EV.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, on to your next witness, Mr. McKenna.
Good evening, and thanks for your time tonight. I really appreciate it. We have been, we're back before you. We're creating something actually new, something that needs to happen for this community. And as we've gone along, we've improved a lot of the amenities and whatnot for our potential residents. Are you hearing me? Okay, sorry. And so I did want to come in and talk about that. My background is development. I've been developing longer than I care to mention in front of this board. And this opportunity to help create something for a neurodiverse population, which has effectively almost none, is very little opportunity to live independently within our state, came along, and it's something very important I think that we need to do for this population. And I do appreciate the support of the town of Red Bank. My background, as I mentioned, was a lot of development. Essentially, the first floor hasn't changed as far as the general layout, and we'll continue to provide amenity for the residents of the building. The opportunity, though, for this office space, which is 923 square feet at the south end, will also have the opportunity to provide not just for the residents, but for the community. And we felt that was a very important situation to make here in Red Bank. We met with a firm that provides behavioral and psychosocial services to neurodiverse population. They actually have other offices located in the Monmouth County. they would, because of, what we're creating, would love to have an office here in Red Bank. So it would be the option of our residents to get services from their professionals, but they would also be providing services to those in the area as well. Certainly Red Bank, for those neurodiverse people who want those kind of services. So there's a real opportunity. That's why we'll no longer have access to the interior of the building from the first floor. It would be a totally separate service, and would be a third-party professional office. Any questions on that?
Are you going to limit it to a service that can help with that type of?
Well, that's the opportunity we have for us today. Things can change in the future, but we're looking forward to having this firm provide professional services, not only to our residents, but to those in the community. I'm not sure how we limit that from a zoning perspective, but we certainly, that's our intent, is to help the neurodiverse population.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
Excuse me.
they'll have 3 employees. They will be meeting with potential clients, probably more than an hour each. So the number of clients they'll be seeing each day is certainly less than in the 20s. It would be a range based on their time that they spend with each client. And potentially a resident from our building may also, get services from them as well.
And, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if I may, I heard Mr. McKenna say that there really wasn't an appetite because of the limited number of clients for having it.
Into the mic there.
Okay. Yeah, there really wasn't sufficient enough clientele is the right word from within the building. So hence the need to have an external entrance and practice. Is there, for those same kind of people maybe you talked to, was there an appetite for this type of situation given what you're proposing? In other words, would people want to take advantage of this opportunity, professionals?
Talking about for the residents?
No, the actual person that the provider, social service provider.
Have people expressed an interest saying?
Yes,
hey, if
yes. Well, the owner of the firm, who's also works at Rutgers Center for Adult Autism, that agency is providing a lot of direction on the amenity programs that we're working for our navigators in the building. He already has a significant business in Monmouth County and sees it a great opportunity to help others in this part of the region of Monmouth County.
Okay, so
Does that
really
answer
the
your question?
obstacle was the limited number of clients from inside.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank
I
you.
mean, yeah,
And you've identified someone already to do the service.
we have.
Yeah.
We have.
And the navigator is someone who's sort of like the resident advisor, like in a college dorm, someone that
Yeah, well,
everybody functioning.
it's another phrase for concierge, but it's
Yeah.
somebody who has training.
Yeah.
And,
course.
has a degree or is getting their master's degree from like
And
Rutgers.
there to be
Center
2
for
other
Adult Autism.
employees too to also provide services there.
I'm sorry?
Should be 3 employees on site.
Yes, yeah.
What do the other 2 do?
There'll be 3 employees in the office. Yeah.
In
We
the
have-
office.
Within our building, we
Oh.
have separately, that's provided
What I'm asking
separate
about,
from
in the
the
building,
office.
what are the?
In our building, we always have at least 1, and we'll have at times 2 employees providing, depending on the time of the day, et cetera,
Yeah,
because we have to.
One
have
living
people
and
there.
one also
Right,
daytime.
right,
probably.
right.
Gotcha.
Right,
Thank
the,
you.
the office has nothing to do with Thrive though, right? They're not employees of Thrive.
They are not.
And
It's a third party.
And just to clear up, you have a tenant for that space now, so you have a company that's going to help you find a tenant to take that office space?
we're speaking with a
A
tenant
potential
directly.
doctor to run a doctor's
Yes,
office?
professional, absolutely. He's already providing, as I mentioned, he's, I guess it probably, I don't want to overstate it, but obviously is with the Rutgers Center for Adult Autism, is an expert, and also has his business and services that he provides. I don't know his exact background, but it could be a doctorate level, certainly master's, yeah.
Okay.
A
And then-
professional.
Right.
He's a professional. Yeah.
Okay, and it's your understanding that he sees one patient per hour? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying they have 3 employees. They would max out at 3 per hour, but
3 per
they,
hour?
they may not have that much turnover. It depends on the length of, the client, how much, what time, this is an area, I'm a developer, it's not my expertise, but.
No, I get it.
thank
And
you.
then,
And let me just say, we're creating something out of, new, out of whole cloth. And we felt that this would be a really great opportunity here that is both, not just for the residents in the building, but for the community as well, which I think for those who don't know where to go for neurodiverse, don't have somebody nearby that they can get behavioral services from. So I think that's very important.
right, and then the building doesn't provide for any visitor parking whatsoever for the doctor's office? They're just going to drive around the neighborhoods and look for something? Is that the plan?
I think that's the easiest because we're limiting the access. Safety and security within the building and for the residents is of highest importance. And so we would not be providing access to their clients. We would provide access because we know who works in the office, those employees. So they would have key cards, but their key cards would not allow them to enter the building. They would have to come through the lobby.
Thank you.
Could I just ask one, Mr. McKenna, I'm assuming that if the application were approved, I don't know where we're going with that, but just if the application is approved, that professional office is clearly only an accessory use, correct? And it's limited to that size that you've talked about, and it's limited to psychoanalyst type of people, sort of? That's the profession?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then what becomes of the project if this application does not get approved? What becomes of that space?
Well, it was approved previously, I think.
With an entrance in the inside of the building was previously approved. So if we say no to this and we go back to the original plan, is that what the plan would be? Would just to go back to what you were originally approved for?
Well, at the time, we did have that listed as an office. We were speaking to, but it turned out to be too small. Parker Clinic was talking to us about a dental office. We thought that would be helpful, once again, in the community.
I mean, the project doesn't fail because we don't approve a doctor's office for, third-party doctor office, does it? The project is still going to thrive, right?
Financially, I think from a perspective of helping the community and the overall community, I think it's a great opportunity, and it continues the mission of what we're providing here, and it continues the strength within the community and an opportunity for those people who are not getting services now to get services. So I think it's a great opportunity. Is the project going to fail? It depends how you measure that, but I think, why would we not have an opportunity for not just the residents of this building, but also for those within our Red Bank area to get psychosocial services, particularly for those who are experts, and provide that because to neurodiverse population.
Yeah, I think as we said, if it gets limited to that use, I have no problem with that. At least I don't. So, that's why we'd like to make sure that we do limit it to that type of office. and
Mr.
that
Chairman,
type of-
if-
I'd like to add too, just as someone with a late father and a brother who are psychoanalysts, you'd be having psychologists there not psychoanalyst. Oh, so if you're using a word in your resolution, you should
Thank
use
you.
the word psychologist, not
Perfect.
psychoanalyst.
Mr.
Okay.
Chairman, I also might offer this as a thought. What we can do is we can require that in the event that that service is underutilized or perhaps it doesn't work out, they would not be allowed to do anything else there without coming back to this board and having the board approve what that service would
Yeah,
be.
that's what we said.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, that's
I have no
that's not a problem.
I have no problem with that.
Not a problem.
Okay. Are you finished or you have more
No, I have one.
witnesses?
One more witness.
Okay.
Actually, any members of the public for Mr. Klein? Thanks, got it,
Excuse me.
got it.
Mr. O'Neill. Good evening, Mr. O'Neill.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Would you offer your credentials to the collective members of the board?
Certainly.
They can-
My name's Ed O'Neill. I'm here today as a licensed planner. I'm also a licensed architect, but I'm not testifying in that regard. I have a master's in planning from the University of Pennsylvania, which I obtained in 1983. I've been licensed in New Jersey as a planner since 1987. I've appeared before this board and the planning board and numerous boards throughout the county and state over the last 35 to 40 years.
Great. And welcome back, Mr. O'Neill.
Thank you.
So, Mr. O'Neill, you were retained by the applicant and to testify on planning and specifically addressing the use variance aspect and
Yes, and I was the planner on the original application in
Correct.
2023.
Cool.
And the major criteria back in 2023, which still carries now, is the use. So it's obviously a facility to deal with neurodiverse population and therefore is an inherently beneficial use. I feel that very strongly. The board felt that in 2023 unanimously. So again, I think what they're doing is a service that is desperately needed. And they feel that this site is well suited to it. And part of the reason for the site's suitability is the surrounding township and opportunities, whether they're career job opportunities, opportunities to get other services, they're really all in town. And since virtually none of them will drive, they need either that access as pedestrians or through Uber or Lyft or whatever those services are. So if we take that as a planning start, which it was in 2023, I remember distinctly in 2023, there was a member on the board that's no longer here who was a land use attorney who interrupted me and said, we really don't have to discuss this because we all agree it's an inherently beneficial use. So we're just gonna kind of accept that. And then I went on to talk about some specific things about the building, and that was it. So if we really look at the positive and negative criteria, the inherently beneficial use really covers the positive criteria. We are providing a service desperately needed, and that if we start ticking off things in the municipal land use law about appropriate services developed in certain ways, we hit all those marks. So really what we come down to discussing is the negative criteria. That's really the big issue. And if we just really look at what's changed because of the regulations, one is the number of undersized units. My comment about the undersized units is what's unique about them. The ordinance says, well, one bedroom unit has to be 600 square feet. Now that also assumes that the one bedroom unit might be occupied by two people. And here it can't be because that's not the way a neurodiverse apartment complex works. So there's only one person in each unit. And since the smallest unit is 509 square feet, which is the same unit it was the first time, and the other units are less than 10% smaller than the regulation, I really don't see a problem and have a negative impact on anything. It's the same number of units. It's the same number of parking spaces. All of that's the same. It's just, again, a small number. And if I've looked at the units and the changes are de minimis, they will function the same way. There's also the issue of the transformer. And again, in the municipal land use law, there is hardship dictated by having an outside agency come in and tell you something has to be done and you have really no control over it, and the transformer would fall into that category. So, and it's also a very after the fact ruling by JCP&L. I mean, everything was approved, they had reviewed it, they came back and said they wanted to change it. That is their purview. But again, the hardship is there's no real other place to put the transformer than where it's being dictated. And that's going to cause what I think is a de minimis setback violation and the loss of a tree. And I don't think that should endanger the approval of an inherently beneficial use on the site. The office issue is, again, there was an office providing that facility that was internal to the project that has proven to be, for many reasons, not possible. So the space provided is fairly minimal. It's less than 1,000 square feet. I don't think the parking generated by that is significant. And again,
What is that based on? What do you mean? You didn't do a study, did you?
no, I did not.
So is it based on driving by it? Is that what you're?
No, it's based on Mr. McCormick's testimony.
It's based on what?
Mr. McCormick's testimony and
Based on his
documentation. Yes.
Mr. O'Neill, but you live right in the immediate area, do you not?
Yes, I would live within comfortable walking distance of the site.
I don't think that this is proper testimony, quite frankly. I mean,
But-
what
Well, I
are
just
we
answered
hearing
the question.
testimony? We don't have a study. You didn't do a study. You had years to do it and you didn't do it. You said you did it in the letter, but then you didn't do it. So I'm a little confused by this lay opinion testimony. I don't know. He's not testifying to a report.
Well,
What are we listening to?
so couple things. Number one, he's not a lay witness. He's testifying as a planner, correct?
Correct.
And number two, he can give his opinion. And what New Jersey law says is, with every case, not just this case, New Jersey law allows within reason, board members to discount all or a portion of a witness's testimony if they feel the need to do so. So if he's not convincing you, you are allowed to, within reason, discount, as any board member could do for any witness that was presented.
All right, so Mr. O'Neill, you haven't submitted anything with respect to traffic or parking, but you want to give some testimony to it? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, basically what I'm saying is that if you look at parking the way it was, he had a surplus of parking space based on the testimony that was accepted at the time in 2023, traffic engineer. If you take the square footage and you apply parking regulation to it, I believe we still need the regulation with 13 spaces based upon the fact that no one who lived there.
Said no one that lives there can drive, but I thought earlier it was 10% of the building was anticipated to have a car.
That seems to be a 10% seems to be a covering side kind of thing. It's not, in most people, to my understanding from Mr. Klein and from the facility in Arizona, is that the people who don't drive, because that's part of their, I'll just say issue for lack of a better term. So I also want to point out that, again, the office use makes this a mixed use development, which is allowed in the NB zone.
Okay, that your testimony? Are you finished?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the board? For Mr. O'Neill? Any questions from the public for Mr. O'Neill? Okay, we'll close the portion. Mr. McKenna,
Yes.
are you done with witnesses? You want to summarize, or you want us to make a vote, or what would you like us to do?
No, I'd like to get a vote. I would, and I want to express to the board my thanks, not only for the last time that we were here, but for this time also. We have here a unique opportunity. And the acclaim that was received and the overwhelming community support that was received in connection with the prior approval, if you just take that in and of itself, that spoke incredibly well of us, meaning Red Bank as a community. We, and I can tell you from my brief stint as mayor for 16 years, we have become leaders in many different areas. We were creating affordable housing when we had no obligation to do so. If you're, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but we had, during those years, we had no obligation to provide affordable housing. We built 240 units of affordable housing. Why? Because we're a community that cares. And this is a need that screams for a presence, and they can't get it anywhere else at the moment. And here we have a unique opportunity to provide this service for a population that needs it so desperately that I think it would be unconscionable to not avail ourselves of this opportunity. Forgive me if I sound dramatic, but if any of us have had the experience of having people with this type of medical issue in their families or their friends, or for that matter, their neighbors, it's a terrible, terrible thing to ignore it. And I can't tell you how many people I've spoken to that have people in their families, and it pains them to know that at some point they're going to leave. They're not going to be there forever for these individuals. At some point they're going to go the way of God. And for them to have the ability to have a facility such as this, where their children are given the opportunity to live independently as much as possible. And we didn't get into this as much today as we did the last time around. But think about this. You're right by the train station. You got Food Town right down the street. So one of the things that makes this such an unusual opportunity for us is there's employment nearby. And if you could just go over to Middletown and see the restaurant that's over there, that's an incredible experience if you ever walk in there. And it is wonderful to see these individuals who have challenges in life that they're meeting every day and succeeding. And that's what we should be thinking about as far as whether or not we have not necessarily a legal obligation, but perhaps even a moral obligation to take this into consideration. I think that a failure to recognize this opportunity to allow us as a community to house this facility would be a gross miscarriage of justice. And I ask the board to take that into consideration, whether or not it's a crowded intersection or you don't like a particular parking space or anything such as that. The fact of the matter is, these opportunities don't present themselves.
Well, Mr. McKenna, it was approved, the facility was approved. You come back, ask for a private doctor's office to come back in. I think you haven't addressed that. We understand, we appreciate what's happening here. We all love it. We all love the idea of this. Whether or not I think it's a good location for it, obviously I don't. However, we love the idea of it, but you're not addressing the fact that you've come back to us now and said, hey, we want to put a private doctor office there. And by the way, it's going to have visitors. There's nowhere to park.
Well,
You're going to drive up and down Bridge Avenue and South Bridge Avenue and cross from the Coffee Corral and park in the neighborhoods. And that's where it's going to be at a very busy location and intersection that backs up currently.
Well,
So you're not addressing that. But in terms of the project, you don't need to patronize us. We all appreciate what you're doing. We love it. We understand all of those things. At least I do. I'm sure the whole board does, but I'm not quite understanding the notion that we should approve a private doctor's office with zero parking. I just don't understand that.
Well, first of all,
I think it's important, Mr. Mayor, I think it's important today that now that the number one issue in this town that you hear from everybody is traffic.
Mhm.
And parking is an issue. Both Paul and I live on streets, that are very busy streets and are both parking challenged. I live 2 blocks from this site. I know it very well. In fact, I think there's a lot of parking
I know.
north on
where you
Parker.
live, yeah.
The irony is that north on Parker, there's a lot of spaces right now. But I think it's important for every applicant in Red Bank, for every project, to understand that traffic and parking is an extremely sensitive issue here. And that's why we always bring it up.
And I understand it. And take it from one, well, the board chair knows. We have times where we can't get out of our street because the traffic on Front Street is backed up all the way almost into Fairhaven. I get it. We deal with it every day. I mean, it's a pain in the neck. But a 900 square foot doctor's office is not Riverview Hospital. Okay, it's 900 square feet. So how many people are you going to be seeing during the course of a day? And by the way, when we came in last time, what we asked for was a facility that would have that, or for an office that would be housing an individual that would be serving just this community. We couldn't find anyone to do it. That's why we're here with that. That's the issue. That's why we asked for it.
Okay.
Now you can impose any and all conditions that you want, and then it's up to the applicant as to whether or not they want to accept the condition. But what I'm suggesting to you is, it's not something that was shielded in some way or anything else. That's the way it was presented the first time, because we thought that we would be able to get someone that would provide that benefit. Unfortunately, there is no one that is willing to do it.
Well, no one's willing to do it at, let's be clear, no one willing to do it at the terms that you've offered them, right? I mean, this is a private corporation. If you pay somebody enough, he's going to do it, right? I mean, it's not, so I don't think it's fair. I personally don't think it's fair to say that you can't find someone to do it. Well, you can find someone to do a lot, just about anything, if you pay them the right money. So, you know, I don't know what to say to that. It's not convincing, but finish up, please, or not finish up, but please.
I would just like to say my own opinion. I can only speak for myself. I actually think it's a larger benefit to have a office there that serves the broader community outside of the 32 people that live in that facility. And I think that would be a privilege to have someone there serving the West Side community, serving the Red Bank community at large. So I see that as a benefit that you're offering as part of this, not something that's being taken away.
And thank you. And by the way, that conclusion that you have just stated was something that came out in this process. That wasn't a thought, okay, well, we're gonna pay this guy $150,000, and you know, we can't afford to do it. But your point is well taken, because during the course of these discussions that we had, it evolved from just taking care of the people in the building to offering that service to people in the community. That's why, as far as defining what that office can and should do.
Right. I think
I
restricting
mean,
it.
you know, we can sit here all night and debate. I mean,
Restricting it to what we said we'd like it to be. I think that's where we need to go with it.
I agree. I think it makes a better building. I just wanted to make it clear and be doing this so often to talk.
So
the big issues of Red Bank are traffic and parking. That's why I brought it up, but I agree, it makes it a better building.
Okay, if I may, Ray, Mr. Chair, I'm an alternate, so I won't be voting on this, but if I were, this is a no-brainer. This is, yes, thumbs up. Greg, you took my point. One of the points I was going to make with what you're proposing here makes it an even better project from my perspective, because it serves the community as well. When I won't go on for a long time, but I just want to tell you, when this vote originally came up, I was new on the board and I'd only been on it a couple months. And when we approved it, it was so heartfelt for me. went into the parking lot and called the mayor and said, this is gonna be on a par with what makes Red Bank Red Bank. So I applaud you. The other things in the request and in the application tonight, you have to do the JCP&L thing, the county thing. So to me, it's a no-brainer. So if I were voting, it's an easy one.
Thank you.
Okay, before we take a vote, any other comments from any of the board members?
I have one question. You did bring up affordable housing, and although it didn't come up this evening, the prior application had set aside 5 units for affordable housing, and is that still the case?
Oh, yeah, the affordable housing has not changed. Whatever the number was, I
Just wanted to make sure.
5, yeah, 5, yeah. No, that remains.
Okay, any comments from the public?
And I apologize profusely because I thought I had turned this off.
Okay, so I guess we'll move on to Mr. Kennedy. You want to
Sure.
give us
So,
to vote on?
if there's going to be a motion to approve, I would read the conditions that I've noted. If there's going to be a motion to deny, I probably wouldn't read the conditions. So Mr. Chairman, do you want me to read conditions just in case?
Yeah.
So some of the conditions that we would normally talk about would be compliance with all the promises and commitments the team made tonight. So that's my get out of jail free card. So if we don't say it right now, if it was said during the meeting, it counts. And we would never have a problem with that because
Yep.
Mr. McKenna agrees with that. So we have compliance with Vince, to your point, excellent point, compliance with all affordable housing rules, regulations, contributions, and directives. And then Shauna, in and of itself, if the application is approved, one way or the other, our affordable housing team needs to sign off on this.
Yeah.
Okay. And then compliance with all outside approvals. And again, just so you know, this is sort of evidence of the system works. Our standard is if the nature of the application or the nature of the requested relief changes as a result of those outside approvals, the applicants have to come back, which is one of the things that they're doing. Compliance with the T&M letter. Prior to any certificate of occupancy, we would need your design professionals to submit a professional certification confirming that the improvements were installed in accordance with the testimony, in accordance with the approved plans, and in accordance with the resolution. Ultimately, we'll get a as-built survey. Compliance with all the terms and conditions of the prior approval, unless specifically obviated herein. Jackie, a dumb question, but with the real flood changing regulations, that has no impact on this. Okay, so we don't have to worry about that. And then some of the things we talked about tonight, again, the only one resident per apartment. We talked about, can't read my writing, compliance with all the prevailing federal and state regulations. That's always, we have that separate entrance, physical facility. Let's see. We have, you said it's private garbage, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then, Shauna, we have later on, they're going to have to coordinate that with the DPU just to have it appropriately coordinated. I think Vince, Chris, the navigator room still remains, for lack of a better word. Compliance with ADA regulations, drainage and drainage details to be reviewed and approved by Jackie. I'm assuming that's already in that letter. I think Jackie Fleur, you said you will pave to the limits per the request set forth in the T&M letter. With the signage, I think Ed McKenna, the answer is that all signage will comply, and if it's not, you're going to come back at a different time and seek that approval.
That's correct.
Okay, and let's see, compliance with the EV regulations, and we talked about, let's see, we're going to make sure that the guests for the building and or the psychologist's office do not have access to the garage parking spaces. I think that was the testimony.
That's correct.
And we talked about those 2 EV spaces. One of them is going to be an ADA EV space.
Right.
And we gonna, now, Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna not be as eloquent as I'd like to be, but so with the regard to this office, it's going to be, there's no access to the office through the interior, correct?
Correct.
And it's going to be that office is about 900 square feet, we said?
I think it's 927 or something.
927 square feet.
923.
923 square feet, and it's limited, it's an accessory use, and it's going to be a psychological type of use that's available to residents and the public. I think that, and it's going to be roughly a maximum of 3 per hour. And let's see, any significant, well, yeah, let's see, Ed, you had suggested that if that service is underutilized or for whatever reason it's not working out, and it's going to be changed, you would have to come back here.
That's correct.
Because particularly of the board's sensitivity to the parking need and generated by that compliance with affordable housing regulations. And I wrote down affordable housing again. So I think that's the gist. So before I even get to the board, Mr. McKenna, are those conditions acceptable to your team?
Yes, except that the professional office is a permitted use. It's not an accessory use.
Right, but in that building, it's only going to be accessory to.
Oh, yeah,
To
yeah.
the neurodiversive housing.
Absolutely correct.
That's what I meant.
And I quite frankly, if you wanted to put a limit on the square footage, you could do that.
And we generally will put in there no intensification or expansion of absent further approval of the board. So, Mr. Chairman, I guess the next issue is, are those conditions acceptable to the board? And then we'll have a vote one way or the other.
Okay, does one of the members like to make a motion to approve per Mr. Kennedy's condition?
Yes, please. I approve.
So you'll make a motion to approve the application subject to the conditions that we just referenced.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Ann Torrey,
Yes, I'd like to vote yes.
Raymond Mass,
Yes.
Greg Fitzgerald. Yes. Vincent Light,
Yes.
Paul Cagno. John Gilday,
Yes.
Anna Cruz,
Yes.
and that's it.
All right, so that application is approved 6-1.
Great, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Appreciate everybody coming out. Motion to adjourn. Second.
Charlene, great job tonight.
Yeah,
Not easy.
thank you.